Hello everyone and welcome back to BlackBox QA again. So in this video we will be checking all the steps for setting up Python installation on Windows. Okay, so we have already seen why we have selected Python over other scripting language in the previous video. So in this video let's get started about installing Python on our Windows machine. So, in this section, we will deep dive into the essential steps for setting up Python on a Windows operating system. Okay. And as Python has emerged as a leading programming language due to its simplicity and versatility, making it a preferred choice for a wide range of applications. So, this we have already discussed in our previous video. So, we will begin with a comprehensive overview of Python and its significance in the programming landscape. Following that, I will guide you through the step by step installation, ensuring that you can also successfully install Python on your Windows machine. Okay, so next we will explore how to set up PyCharm. So, if you guys haven't heard of PyCharm, so it's a IDE, basically an integrated development environment that will enhance the coding experience with its rich feature. All those features we will be exploring it while we will be doing hands-on with Python. And additionally, we will discuss the importance of creating a virtual environment to manage product or project dependencies effectively. So this is an important part, and you will get to know once we'll reach till there. Okay, and furthermore, we will be covering pip. So pip is the package management tool that will simplify the installation of libraries. Okay, so there are various libraries which we're gonna be using while working with Python. So pip will help us installing those, and we will conclude with the best practices for setting up a project requirement to ensure a smooth development process. So let's get started. Okay, so before that, to verify if Python is installed in your system or not, so for that we need to open the command prompt window. Yeah, so over here we will be typing one statement called as python space hyphen hyphen version. Okay, so now this says Python is not recognized as an internal or external command. That means Python is not installed in a system. So I will guide you with all the steps, and if you want, you guys can also go ahead and follow all the steps parallelly in your respective machines. Okay, now let's open Chrome browser and let's go to our website, which is https colon double slash www.python.org slash downloads slash windows. Okay, so this is the official website of Python from where you can go ahead and download the latest version. So this is the latest version which has been released on December 5th, 2025. You can also check for the pre-release version as well. Okay, so you can find all of the versions which has been released earlier along with its downloadable link for Windows installer. But we will not be going with the latest version as it's just been launched and it could be not that much stable. So let's go ahead and you know download for any 3.11 version. So this is 3.13. Okay, these all are 3.13. Keep scrolling down. Yeah, so here we have all those downloadable Windows installer link for 3.11.8. Okay, and it's been released on February 6, 2024 and cannot be used on Windows 7 or earlier. So uh, the system which I'm working upon has Windows 11, so this will work properly over there. So let's click on this link, 64-bit. Windows installer, and our download has begun. Okay, so yeah, that was quick. And let's open up this folder. Yeah, so this Windows has popped up. So this is the Windows installer for Python 3.11.8, 64-bit. Now this has already clicked on this checkbox which says use admin privileges when installing py.exe, and the second one says add python.exe to path. So if you guys have worked with any other languages, for example Java, so you might have seen that after installing Java you need to set its path in the environment variable. So that you can do automatically from here after clicking on this checkbox, so you don't have to go and manually update those path in your environment variables. Okay, so once that is done, you just uh, you can go through this path as well, that your Python will be stored at this particular location. And once everything feels good, you can click on install now. And here you can see the setup progress. Yes, so the setup was successful, and we can close this pop-up for now. And now let's go back to our command prompt window and see this time if our Python has been installed or not. For that, you need to open a fresh instance of a command prompt. Okay, let's do that. Type that same command, Python hyphen hyphen version. Yes, so this time we are getting Python along with its version which has been installed in our system. And also let's check if our environment variables also has the necessary inputs. So let's go to our environment variables. In here, as you can see, that this path contains our Python, where our Python has been installed. So this has that path over here along with other necessary details. So that means that our environment variables has also been updated. So we are good on that part as well. Okay. Now next part is to install PyCharm as an ID, which can be used as an ID. So let's open our Google Chrome browser again. Okay. Now, in order to install PyCharm, we have to navigate to this particular website, which is www.jetbrains.com, PyCharm download. So in here, you'll find a downloadable link for installing pycharm.exe file, and further installation steps you will get to know soon. So let's wait for this website to get to get loaded properly. And now initially there used to be two versions. One was PyCharm Community, which was a free version. The other one was PyCharm Professional. Now they says that PyCharm is now one unified product. So all users will now automatically start with a free 1 month pro trial version, and after that they can subscribe to pro, or if they want they can keep using the core features for free. And now with Jupyter support included. So all in all, basically it has now only one downloadable .exe link, and not like initially it used to have community and professional separate. So let's click on this .exe link. Now this should start our download. Yeah, here you go. So our download has been started, so it might take a while, so let's wait until then. Our download has been done, so let's navigate to this folder where our .exe file is placed. So it will be there under your downloads folder by default. Once you locate it, just right click on it and it will give you an option to run as administrator. Select this option. This wizard has been popped up, so it says like welcome to PyCharm setup. All you have to do is just keep clicking on next until you reach the final step. Okay, so in here you need to select all these checkboxes. So what it will do, it will create a desktop shortcut, and update context menu means add open folder as project. You can select this as yes, or you can check this checkbox. Create association dot py, you can select this checkbox as yes, and add bin folder to the path. So here, after clicking on this checkbox, there will be a restart which will be required to update the path variable, or basically those environment variables which we have seen earlier. So select this as this also, make it as checked, and once doing that, click on next and do the installation. So for that, you need to click on this install, and this will take some time for this complete installation to be done. So let's wait for a while till this is completed. Okay. So our PyCharm installation has been done. So there are like couple of final mandatory steps are left, which we will do. So it says run PyCharm. If we select this checkbox, so after doing the finish, it will launch the PyCharm instance automatically. So as we can see, PyCharm has been launched. PyCharm IDE has been launched, and so basically, the look and feel of PyCharm ID is more or less the same as we have seen. So you guys, if you have worked with IDs such as Eclipse or IntelliJ, so you might be seeing the similar UI over here as well. So in all the IDs, we'll see the files and folders being placed at the leftmost section of the screen. However, this screen is there for doing all kinds of coding and scripting. So here you'll see all the new tutorials, like what's new in PyCharm 2020, and also you will see all the other options. Like for example, if you have an existing Python project in your local, you can go ahead and click on this option to open it and have it installed or imported in your PyCharm IDE. So see, this has opened up your directory. And also, if you want, you can go ahead and create a new project from this option. So once you do that, there will be this new project getting created for you, which has certain instructions, or you can say some helping text, which will get you started with your scripting part. Now let's say if you have a project which is being hosted in a remote repository, so you can clone it in your PyCharm by this option. You just need to put your repository URL over here, and you can download and install that project from the remote repository. Okay, so they have given the GitHub extensions also. You can log in via your GitHub credentials, and you can clone that project from the GitHub repository as well. So more or less, if you have worked with any kind of ID, PyCharm won't be troubling you that much. So for now, this was the entire step-by-step process to install PyCharm in your system. Okay, so before proceeding further with our coding practices in the installed PyCharm, I would like to draw your attention towards one more very important term called as the Python interpreter. Okay, so let's understand its role and functionality real quick before proceeding to the hands-on experience with Python and PyCharm. Okay, so Python interpreter is a fundamental component of the Python programming ecosystem, acting as the intermediary that allows developer to write code in a high level human readable format. Okay, so it executes Python code by translating it into bytecode, which is then processed by the Python virtual machine, right? So there are several types of interpreter, each with its own strength, such as CPython, which is the most widely used, and PyPy, PyPy, and also which enhances performance through just-in-time compilation. Now, the interpreter is utilized across various domains, including web development and data science, due to its flexibility and the rich ecosystem of libraries available. However, it is essential to recognize both the advantages, such as rapid prototyping and ease of debugging, and the limitations, including slower execution speed compared to compiled languages, when choosing to use the Python interpreter for a project. So, this is just basically a high level definition of Python interpreter. Now, uh, let me make it a little bit easy. So, now as we have Python and PyCharm installed, so we can start running our Python programs. But you know, for any computer that runs a program, like how the backend thing works. So first of all, uh, you might have heard about a term called as processor. So now with processor, there are two basic components. One is the CPU and the other is the computer memory. Okay. So the processor executes code is stored in a memory in the form of instruction machine code, and the result is stored back in the memory. So when we write a source code, the language needs to be translated into machine code for platforms such as, let's say, if you are using Mac, Linux, or Windows. So that needs to be translated into the machine code for the specific platform to understand. Okay. The translator used here is called compiler. Now, however, in Python, the flow is different. Now, when we write a source code in Python and execute the program, the Python interpreter comes into the picture. Again, now Python interpreter has two components. One, the Python virtual machine, and the second one is the compiler. Okay, so when we execute the source code, now pay attention to this part. Okay, so when we execute the source code, the compiler will convert the source code into a bytecode instead of machine code. Okay, so with the concept of bytecode being used in Python, this makes it platform independent. Okay, so the Python virtual machine will read and execute the bytecode on the hardware. Therefore, Python is both compiled and interpreted language. So yeah, before proceeding with any kind of hands-on activity, so I thought of drawing your attention towards what Python interpreter is. Okay, so now as we have all the prerequisites installed in our system, so let us run the first Python code, and we can run Python code in one of the three ways which I'll be discussing one by one. Okay, so first is using an interactive interpreter. So for that, you need to open your new command prompt window. And in order to start the Python interpreter, you just simply need to write Python and press enter. So with this, if you are getting this particular text, that means your Python interpreter has been started. Okay, now let's do a simple print uh, statement. So as we have seen in our first video, that in order to print anything, Python uses this print function. And let's type whatever we want to print. Let's say we are printing hello Python. And if we press enter, so hello Python has been printed. Now there are other ways as well. If you want to do some other hands-on practices with other kind of operations, so let's take an example of doing of printing name. So you just create a variable called as name is equals to hello world. Now as this is a string, this will be in double quotes. And if you print this, hello world has been printed out. Okay, so now let's do some other operation. Now here we are trying to print numbers starting from 0 till the range of 3. That means we are trying to print 0, 1 and 2. So for that we will be using a for loop for I in range 3. Also you can take a look at the Python syntax. So this is more or less very close to the English language. So by reading this statement itself, we'll get to know that we are trying to print numbers, and we have assigned a variable as I in the range 3. Okay, so uh, now we will try and print I. Okay, so it has printed from 0, 1 and 2. Now let's say if you want to increase the range to 10, then what should be the output? Let's figure it out. Yeah, so it has printed the number starting from 0 till 9. Okay, all 10 numbers have been printed over here. Other than that, we can also, let's say, do some other operation. Let's say we define a variable called as name, and we assign a value as BlackBox QA. And if we type name and then press enter, then it has printed BlackBox QA. Okay, so there are other operations also that can be performed. Let's say if you want to add any two numbers. So for example, let's say we define a variable called as a equals to, let's give its value as 10. Let's define another variable as b and assign its value as 20. And in the third step, we are simply doing a plus b. So if we hit enter, we got the output as 30, which is 10 plus 20 equals to 30. Okay, so all these kinds of mathematical operation, string operation, we have seen how for loop also works, how print statement works. So this way we can use the Python interactive interpreter from the command line to execute our code. Now in order to exit this interpreter, you simply have to type exit, and this Python interpreter has been stopped. So this is one way. Okay, we'll discuss about other ways as well. So the second way is using the command line. So let's see how it can be done. So now let's see how we can run our Python code from command line. So till now we haven't reached till PyCharm. There's just various different ways in which a Python code can be executed. At the last, we'll go and see how we can run our Python code through PyCharm as well. But before that, let's see how we can do it through command line now. So for that, open a notepad. Okay, Now in this notepad, let's type in a statement for print. So we are trying and printing one statement which says hello from command line. Okay. Now what we'll do, we'll save this file, and let's give it a name as hello.py. Now this py extension represents that, so py stands for Python, and now this has been saved as a Python file. Okay, so let's save it in our desktop. Okay, now we will be so as our command prompt has already been opened, and we know that this particular file has been saved in our desktop. So let's change our directory to desktop where this file is saved, and inside desktop, okay, we will type this statement called as python hello.py. So this is our file name, and if we hit enter, so it has printed that statement which we have given in our text file. Okay. So this is how you can run your Python code from the command line as well. Okay. Now let's discuss about PyCharm. So for that, let's open our PyCharm over here, and let's create a new file, new script. Let's delete all of this. Same way what we were doing with Python interactive interpreter using command line, here also we can do that same thing, but this time we are using PyCharm as an ID. So let's start with our favorite print statement. So if we print hello, namaste, hola, and Kemcho. Okay. So if so we have given a print statement, and if we want to print anything, let's run this file from here. So see, it has printed the statement again. So let's try and do a simple mathematical operation this time, and this time we will be dividing two numbers. Okay. So let's declare a variable a and assign its value as 10. Okay. Again declare a variable b and assign its value as 2. Now we have to perform division, a divided by b, and we have to save their output in a variable. So let's define that variable as result is equals to a divided by b. Okay. Now at the end, what we'll be doing, we will be printing that result. So you see the beauty of this pie chart. So it has already suggested like what could be the next step. We are trying to print the result before even we started typing it. Okay. So we'll just do a print. So using a tab key, if you feel like this whatever has been suggested will be your next step, you can press tab key, and then this statement will get appeared automatically. Okay. So if we hit, but before that, let's see why these red lines are coming. Okay. Unexpected indent, right? So you have to be very careful about the indentation. Indentation means the alignment should be very proper while writing the code in Python. Otherwise, it will keep throwing indentation errors. Okay, now this error has been gone because there was a space at the beginning of these two statements. Now our code looks good. And if we run this file, so see, we've got this print statement output as well as the result of 10 divided by 2, which is 5.0. Okay. So this way you can go ahead and do as many operations as you want. Let's say you want to print the name. For example, let's give this as my name is Python. Okay. And it has started giving you suggestions. So if you feel like you want to print the name, you just click on this tab key, and this will become visible. And this time, now let's run this file again. So it has given the output for all the three operations which we have performed. Now if you look closely here, we need not to need not to create any kind of main function where the actual operation will be performed, as we have seen in Java, that whatever variable you have declared its values and the operation which you want to perform on them, so that operation needs to be done under the main function, right? For that matter, if you have created or if you have declared those variables in a separate Java class, then using the object name and the dot operator, you have to call those variables from a different class to a class where the main function has been declared, because the actual computation will be done inside the main function only in case of Java. But here in Python, have you noticed that we haven't created any kind of main function as such? And how many operations you have to perform, you can do it in a single Python file, right? So this is the beauty of it. Means it's very simple to write the code, and it's very simple to, the code is also very readable. And the Python scripting does becomes very easy as compared to other scripting language. Okay, so now I want to draw your attention to one of the important topic while learning Python, which is called as name equals main. So if you haven't heard of these terms before, no problem. Soon you will get to know complete details about it. Okay, so this is our PyCharm. Okay, PyCharm ID. Now let's try and create a new Python file. We'll click on this new, and from here we can create a new Python file. Okay, so we have seen that Python provides these helping text. Okay, or you can say basically this is an executable code written in Python, which Python provides by default for our understanding purpose. So basically it's kind of an helping text. Now here you are seeing term called as name, and here we have this if statement which says name double equals main. And here what they are trying to do is they are creating one function called as python hyphen hi. Here they are giving name. Okay, and they are commenting and providing a text called as use a breakpoint in the code line below to debug your script. Okay, that's fine. Now we are trying to print hi and name. Okay, now in here, this will be the actual part where your logic of the code has been written. So here they are using if statement. Now if name is equals to main, print hi pycharm. Okay, so let's try and run this. So it says hi pycharm. Now till now you will be thinking it's all very technical, but let me clear your concepts one by one. So basically in Python, every file is treated as a module. Okay. And every module has a built-in variable called as name. So this is the variable which is built in every module. Okay. Now there are few important points about this name. So this name is automatically created by Python. You never define it manually, and its value depends on how the file is executed. Okay. So still you might be getting confused, but please stay for a while. At the end of like another 15-20 minutes, you will get to know about this name and main concept. Okay. So this name is Python's way of identifying how a file is being used. Okay. Now uh, there could be like two scenarios, right? So for that, let me pull up my Word document. Okay. Yeah. So let's consider two scenarios. First scenario one, where file runs directly. Okay. So in here, value of name variable would be main. Okay. Now let's consider another scenario number two. Now let's say there's another file. Now we have to import that file. So consider there are two files, file A and B. We are importing file B inside file A and then executing file B. Okay. So the second scenario goes as file is imported. Then in that case, value of name would be module name. Okay. So for now, just keep this in mind, so that there can be two scenarios where file is running directly, and the second scenario we just discussed, two files A and B. B is imported inside A, and then B is executed. Okay. So what does all this scenario means, like, so this one variable main tells Python whether the file is the starting point or a supporting file. So let's say if you are running file directly, then that means this name variable will tell Python that this is the only file and this is the starting point where you need to execute the code. Second scenario, where the file is getting imported into another file and then it's executing, there Python, so there this variable name will tell Python that this is a supporting file that needs to be executed. Okay. Now you guys might be thinking about, like, why does Python need all this? Okay. So you can think of this analogy, like think of Python files like employees in a company. So there could be n number of files, right? Similarly, think of those files like those are the employees in a company. Now some employees start the work. Okay. So basically there could be teammates, right? So consider a team of 7 people. Now out of 7, let's say uh, 4 or 5 people starts the work, so those will be declared as main. Okay. While the other employees are supporting it, so the other files in Python which are there, so those files are supporting the main work, basically, right? So technical reason behind this is, so Python executes all top level code in a file when it is imported, right? Now let's say there's a file uh, or a utility file. Consider a scenario where you are creating an automation framework and you have created a utility file. Now that utility file has all these, you know, uh, you can say functions that can print logs, that can start a browser, and it connects to the DB also. So all these, you can say, functionality are provided in a single utility file. Now, what you are trying to do is you are trying to import one of the function from this utility file. For example, let's say printing logs, right? Now, what happens? Okay, let me show you with a diagram. Just bear with me because this is gonna be interesting. So, yeah, so consider this is the utility file, okay? And inside this utility file, you can print logs, okay? You can start a browser, okay? And then you can have a function which connects to DB, okay? Which connects to DB. Now, the single utility file does all this operation. Now, you want to import this utility file so that it performs uh, the operation of printing the logs. But let's say if you are not putting any kind of checks, then after importing this utility file, this will also perform like starting a browser and connecting to a DB. These two operations we don't want. We only want to print the logs as of now. So, in order to have this check, right? Now, let's say if Python did not have this check, right? Importing a file would accidentally run everything inside it, correct? So, in that case, this what we call as this whole setup is required in Python, right? Now, again, coming back to the technical reason, okay? So Python executes all top level code in a file when it is imported. Let's say this utility file has been imported into some other file where we want to execute it or utilize these methods present in the utility file, okay? So Python executes all those top level code. Now, without control, imports can, right? If you are not putting any kind of control, so imports can trigger unwanted execution, right? We don't want the browser to be launched. We don't want connection of the DB to be made. We only want to print the logs, right? So if we do not control it, then import can trigger unwanted execution. They can break the application and they can cause duplicate runs as well. Coming to the very last topic of this video, I would like to draw your attention about what is pip, virtual environments, and requirement.txt. Okay, so basically in this section, we will delve into the essential tools that every Python developer should be familiar with, which is pip, virtual environment, and net requirement.txt file. So pip serves as the backbone package management in Python, allowing developers to easily install and manage libraries, while virtual environment plays a crucial role in isolating project dependencies, which is crucial for maintaining clean and conflict free development environments. And last, the requirement.txt file is indispensable for ensuring reproducibility as it captures the exact dependencies needed for a project. Okay, and lastly, we will explore some common commands that facilitates the effective use of these tools, empowering developers to streamline their workflow and enhance collaboration, right? So at the very beginning we have seen like we have talked about a little bit about pip, which is the package management tool. Okay, so here let's deep dive into its further details. So for that, let me open my command prompt window. Okay, so here we have our command prompt window. Before we write real world Python projects, we must understand how Python manages libraries. So in this session, I'll explain three very important tools, which are pip, virtual environment, and requirements.txt. These concepts are used in every professional Python project, whether it's automation, web development, or data science. So let me start with a problem. Okay, so different projects needs different versions of the same library. For example, One project may require Selenium version 4.10 while another needs Selenium 4.18. So if we install everything globally on the system, one project can break the other. So this problem is called dependency conflicts, and Python solves it using virtual environments. Now, if I tell this whole thing in very simple words, so all these tools, what all they did, they does. So in very simple words, I can say pip installs libraries, virtual environment isolates them, and requirements.txt documents them. Okay. So let's start with our very first tool, which is called pip. Now, what is pip? So pip stands for Python Installer Package. It is Python's official package manager and is used to download and install libraries from PyPI, which is the Python package index. Now, whenever we want to use any external library like Selenium, requests, or PyTest, we use pip. So, if you have any idea about working with any kind of automation frameworks, using any kind of automation tool like Selenium, Appium, right? So you might have seen that you are required to install certain other dependencies. For example, we have to install Appium, we have to install Selenium, we have to install sometimes TestNG if you are going with a TestNG framework. Then if you are implementing BDD, then you need to install Cucumber libraries, right? So this pip does the same for Python. So pip comes automatically with Python and we use it from the command line or terminal. Now, if we have Python installed in our system, then you can be very sure that pip is also must be there installed in your system. So for Python, we have this command to check if Python is installed in our system or not. Same way, to check if pip is installed in your system or not, you have to write pip space hyphen hyphen version, and if you press enter, you will get this statement which says pip 24.0, and from where it is coming, that it will show the path of your local directory, and it is with Python 3.11. Okay. So now let's say if we install any package using pip, so let's go with request. Okay. So what will be the command for it? So you have to write pip, simply you have to write install and the package name, which is requests. Okay. So with this command, you will be able to download or install the request package. Now, this package name will be different if you are trying to install any other package, but this command will be same, like pip install will be same. Just replace package, respective package with the respective package name. Okay. Now, if I hit enter, so this says this package has been already satisfied. It's already there in our system. And now let's say if we want to see the list of packages which we have with us. So for that, you just need to run pip space list. This will give you a list of all the packages you have installed in your uh, project or in your system. So we have this request 2.32.5, right, which is already there. Now, let's say if you want to uninstall any package which you have installed, you don't want them anymore. So you can do that using pip uninstall. Again, you have to provide the name of the package which you need to uninstall. So once you do that, so it will ask if you want to proceed or not. So as we have to proceed, so click on yes or type y and then hit enter, and it will say successfully uninstalled request 2.32.5. Now if you want to verify if we have it or not, then again you can run this command, which is pip list. This time you won't be seeing any entry for request 2.32.5 as it's already been uninstalled. Okay. So this was all about pip. Now let's talk about what is virtual environment. Okay, so virtual environment is a self-contained directory that contains its own Python interpreter and its own installed packages. So this is the technical definition of virtual environment. Now, what does this mean? So this means every project can have its own Python setup without affecting other projects, right? So using a virtual environment is considered a best practice in Python industry. So we have just discussed about the scenario where you have a project which uses Selenium version 4.10 while the other package uses the Selenium version 4.18. Now if you install Selenium 4.18 globally, then for the project where you need Selenium version 4.10, right, so that will create conflict and that will create chaos. So to resolve such issues, we have this concept of virtual environment. Okay, so let's do that using a live demo. So before that, let's try and create a blank Python project. Okay, so this is where our PyCharm projects are there. So let's create another project. Let's give its name demo Python. Okay, now for that we will open our PyCharm, and in here. Okay, so now let's import a new project, and here we will browse the project or the folder which we have created, its location, which was demo Python. So we'll select this, we'll select the folder, and we'll go ahead and click on create. Now let's do that in a new window. So we'll click on a new window. This will open another window of PyCharm, and it will prepare the project by installing various other dependencies. So we have installed this demo Python project in our PyCharm. Now let's talk about the virtual environment setup. Now as you can see, it has this venv file, okay, and it has this main.py where we can go ahead and start writing our Python scripts. Okay, so before that, let's do one thing. Okay, so this is our path, right, for the demo Python. Let's copy this path and open a new command prompt window. Okay, now in here, let's navigate to this particular path, and again let's go to demo Python. Okay, so we are inside the demo Python folder. Now in order to create a venv file, okay, so there's this command called as python space hyphen m, then venv space name of your venv file. So you can give any name. Let's give venv1 for now. Okay, so if we hit enter, so this will create a separate venv1 file in our Python project, which is there in our PyCharm. So I'll show you how it gets created. Let this get completed once. Okay, so now once it gets created, we have to activate this also. So for that, what you need to do is you need to write venv1, okay, then backslash scripts, then again backslash activate. Okay, so as you can see, you are now inside venv1, right? Let's see what's happening in our PyCharm ID. So initially there wasn't any such folder venv1, which has now been created. Okay, so inside this, if you go, so this is the lib package. Inside this, there's this site packages where you will see all the kinds of packages being installed. So just have a look at it. So it has pip, it has pip 24.0, package resources, setup tools, all the various other ones which comes by default. Now let's try and install request package for this venv1. Okay, so if we go again to our command prompt window, we'll be using pip command to install request package. Once it gets installed successfully, as you can see, the process has started. So once it gets installed successfully, you will be able to see that request package coming under the site packages. Yeah, so it's been done. Now if we go back again to our PyCharm, So this time under venv, you will see this request coming up here, right? If you want to come out of this, you can do that using deactivate command. So once you do that, you have come out of this venv1 file. So now let's create another venv file inside that same folder, and this time let's give it name 2. Okay, so you can create as many virtual environment in the same Python folder, or you can say Python project. Okay, so this time we are creating another virtual environment with name as venv2. Yeah, so this is done. Now it's the time to activate this. So we'll type venv2 backslash scripts backslash activate. Now we are seeing venv2 over here. Let's find out what's happening in PyCharm. So initially we have this venv1 which we have created. Now this time there's another folder called as venv2. Inside this we have this lib folder again. Okay, and here we had this requests present. So now this time let's install the request package for venv2. Okay, initially there's no such thing as request present. Or else let's do one thing, let's install any other module. So for that, let's install Selenium. Okay, and if we hit enter, it has started installing Selenium, right? And once it's done, you will see that respective Selenium packages will be there for venv2. Okay, so Selenium has been installed for venv2. Let's find out if it's there in our venv2. And inside it, if you look at the site packages, you will see Selenium 4.39 getting installed. As we haven't specified any kind of Selenium version, so it has taken 4.39.0 by default. But yeah, if you want any specific Selenium version to be installed, you can give its version name beside the Selenium. Okay. So this is one thing. Now, let's say if you want to uninstall these packages, right? So for that, you can use the pip uninstall command. So this will be like this: pip uninstall Selenium. And if you hit enter, it has again asked our consent to proceed or not. So let's give yes. So it says successfully uninstalled Selenium. If we go back to our PyCharm, this time you won't be seeing any Selenium related package or folder inside venv2. So that's the thing. Now let's say if you want to jump from venv2 to venv1 again, so simply you have to deactivate this venv2 to come out of this. And if you want to go back to venv1 again, you have to use this venv scripts activate, because if you want to go inside any kind of virtual environment, first you have to activate it. Okay, and we are again inside this venv1. Now let's say we had install request under this venv1. Okay, let's try and uninstall this as well. So again we will be using pip uninstall requests. So it has asked to proceed or not, so we'll click yes. So as you can see, it has installed the request 2.32.5. Let's check in our PyCharm. And this is venv, and this is site packages. You won't see any package or folder related to request now. So yeah, that's the beauty of using Python. It's a best practice also to separate your dependencies based on your requirement into separate venv. You can create virtual environment and you can install the various other dependencies which you require. And it's not ideal to install all those dependencies globally, because as we have already discussed, it will create conflicts. Okay, now let's go to our final topic, which is the requirement.txt file. Okay, so as per the definition, a requirements.txt file is a simple text file that lists all the packages and their exact versions used in a project. Now, how does it help? So, it helps us to share projects with teammates, to recreate the same environment on another system, and to maintain consistency in production and CI CD pipelines. Okay, now first I'll activate the virtual environment and install few packages. Okay, so let's we are already inside VENV1, so let's take that as our current virtual environment. And this time let's install using pip, let's install one package, pip install Selenium again. Okay, this time in virtual environment 1. Okay, so we have Selenium installed in our virtual environment 1. Now I'll generate the requirements file. So for that, you have to use this pip command called as pip freeze, then open arrow requirements dot txt. Okay, so once you hit this command, so a requirement file will get created. Okay, now let's see in our PyCharm if it's been created or not. If we go there, so here we are seeing the requirement.txt file. Okay, now we have this requirement.txt file getting created. Okay, so this file contains the exact versions of installed packages. So if someone else clones this project, because anyways you will be creating this Python framework and you'll be pushing your code into a remote repository. So let's say if someone else clones the project, they can recreate the same environment by running this particular command. So pip install -r requirement .txt. So the thing is, having this requirement.txt file, uh, if anyone else clones this project into their local, they just need to run this command, and whatever uh, installed packages exact versions are mentioned in that file, so all of that will get installed into their respective system. So if we look at this requirement.txt file, right, so we have the Selenium 4.3, 4.39.0, which we installed in VENV1. Along with that, there are other packages also. Let's say along with Selenium, you install other packages as well. So once this whole project has been cloned into any other system having this requirement.txt file, they just need to run this particular command, and whatever package along with its version mentioned, they all will get installed into their respective system. Okay, so this command installs everything automatically, so they don't need to implicitly do pip install for their respective packages which they want to install. Just run this command once and everything will be done. Okay, so imagine you send your project to a teammate or deploy it on a server without requirement.txt file. Imagine. Okay. So you would have to manually install libraries, just as we did before. I was showing you about this pip install commands and this virtual environment command. So we were installing it manually one by one. But let's say if you have this requirement.txt file and if it's been cloned to some other system, by running this particular command which we have just discussed, pip install space -r requirements.txt, all of the uh, packages will be installed automatically. And so with requirement.txt, the environment can be recreated in seconds. So that's why every professional Python project includes this file. Okay, so let's recap about it. So what we've learned, we've learned about pip install Python packages, virtual environments, isolate project dependencies, and requirements.txt records package version. So if you remember one rule, remember this: never install packages globally. Always use a virtual environment. So I'm repeating this again: never install packages globally. Always use a virtual environment. Reason being, it will create conflicts. And these concepts may look simple, but they form the foundation of real world Python project. So once you understand pip, virtual environments, and requirement.txt, you are thinking like a professional Python developer. Okay, so with this I'll conclude this video. Here we have learned lots of things, starting from installing Python, then PyCharm ID, doing some kinds of hands-on with Python code, and then learning about what is name equals to main, what its significance, and also we have learned about pip, virtual environments, and requirement.txt files. So with that said, I'll be concluding this video, and if you like it, then please share it and subscribe it. Thank you.